Okay, welcome everyone. So this is Premier Chess Adult Beginner um, Summer 2021 class, and this is week 7. So we're gonna look at a game between NTBurr versus Richard Popper, a correspondence game that he gave me a few weeks ago, and let's see what happened here. All right, so Richard is black, so I put it in black's perspective so we can see how he thinks. So C4. So what's the name of this opening?
The English.
English opening. Yeah, very common opening. And actually, you know what? I'll tell you a really funny a funny cartoon I just remembered. Talking about all the openings, you see the king, when they say the E4 opening is represented as the king's opening. So that's like very regal and royal, right? And same thing with the queen pawn opening, represented as a queen and her crown and everything. And then the C pawn opening is represented as a British person, Englishman. and, then, and then they represent the F4 pawn opening. It's like this weird I don't know, homeless looking person. They're like, what kind of opening is that? I thought that was kind of funny. All right.
Yeah,
so
be there.
yeah, you got to be there. Yeah. All right. So C4, E5. Very good. So this is like kind of like the reverse Sicilian setup. All right. Knight F6. Or sorry, E4. Okay, so E4 it gives as a inaccuracy or dubious move. I wouldn't really go that far. Like, so it's just this is a type of strategy in the opening where, White says, okay, I'm going to concede control over D4 in exchange for control over D5, right? So that's kind of the concession there. All right, so knight F6, very nice natural developing move towards the center, attacking the unprotected E4 pawn. D3 protecting the pawn. Bishop B4 check. Nice move, not bad. Bishop D2, knight C6, good. So developing and protecting the bishop, so very nice multi-purpose move. A3. Okay, so here's where Richard goes off the rails a little bit. So, what do you think would be a good move here?
Whose move? Black?
It's black's move. So, white just played A3. So, what do you think?
I think the best move here is bishop takes bishop.
Yeah, I think so too. Because if you were so what this is what Richard played. He went bishop A5. Why does that lose? Anybody can tell me?
Then white can play pawn to B5 or for B4 rather.
B4, bishop B.
And then the bishop has to go back again.
And then?
Oh, then you can push the C pawn up.
Good. So basically Richard's bishop became trapped, right? And he lost the bishop, unfortunately. So that's no good. And even if he went back to bishop C5, it seems like a good move because you're eyeing the F2 pawn. But in this case, not really, because now white can create or gain space on the queen side with tempo, again, forcing the bishop to move. Maybe he moves here, attacking the rook, and then maybe white just develops. But now white just has a beautiful pawn formation, and you can even go again B5, gain more space, kick this knight out. So just I think in this position, probably the best move would be to capture, right? Capture
Danilo,
here. Yeah.
You had said in the past that black should move to take pieces, and white should look for territory. Is that applicable in the thinking here?
Wait, did I say that? I don't remember saying that. You said that white in general should move to, say it again?
For territory?
Oh, I don't remember ever saying that. No, that's probably depending on position. On position, right? So if you have a gain in space, you have more space in your opponent, then you would probably want to keep pieces on the board, because then that means your opponent is more cramped, has less space, and so they would want to trade pieces, get pieces off the board, but you would want to keep as many pieces on, because that would just increase the likelihood of them making a mistake, right? So here with A3, these pawns are beginning to get moving, so might as well just trade right now. Probably is the best move. and then maybe now we just castle, and now the game goes on. It's pretty equal here, right? So yeah, so let's go back. So here, let me just show you the evaluation. So right here, it's basically equal. But then after bishop a5, now white has a 3.5 pawn advantage, primarily because his bishop's going to be lost, right? So yeah. So Richard, let me ask you. So did you play like did you just like have an you didn't think that he would push the pawns? Is that why you went?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess yeah, I just didn't see it coming. Let's put it
Okay.
that way.
Okay. Yeah. So pawns, I think, I mean, this is a very good use of pawns, actually. People don't use pawns that much or that well, but in this case, this is a good example of just using your pawns, and if you don't respect the power of your opponent's pawns, then they can easily overwhelm you in this way, right? So you got to be careful. All right, so b4, bishop e6, c5. Okay, so the bishop's trapped, so might as well take a pawn. Bishop takes c5, b takes. All right, so now black is down a bishop. Got a one pawn for the bishop. B6, takes. Okay, so he's got somewhat compensation. He opened up the A file. This pawn is isolated, so maybe he can win this pawn at some point, perhaps. So let's see. Bishop e2, d6. Okay. I mean, I think right now probably best is just to castle, get your king out of the center, and try to formulate an attack in some way, perhaps. But yeah, because d6, I mean, it seems like it weakens unnecessarily the light squares in my mind, even though you do have a light square bishop. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. Maybe first you go bishop b7, on the long diagonal, maybe, and then knight up here, open up the bishop, that kind of thing. Something like that. All right, bishop e2, d6, h3. All right, prophylactic move, right? Perhaps not wanting to allow black knight to come to g4 or the bishop. So also after he castles, he has a escape square for the king, preventing back rank mate, which is a good idea. Bishop e6, knight f3. Okay, castles, knight c3, knight d4. Okay, so now here, white is down a minor piece, right? So what do you think? Do you think if you're losing, what do you think is the general strategy? To trade pieces or to keep pieces on the board?
Keep pieces on the board.
Yes, keep pieces on the board. So you don't want to get rid of more pieces. The more pieces you get rid of, the more blatant the advantage, the easier your opponent will win, right? So you don't want to trade pieces willingly, right? Only if you really have to. So, I mean, I would, maybe do a move like this, h3, h6, sorry, and prevent the knight from coming here and trying to trade away your bishop, something like that, right? So really try to maneuver your pieces if you're in this kind of situation to gain an attack without necessarily trading pieces. All right. And the more pieces you keep on the board, the more likely your opponent will make a mistake, right? So yeah, knight d3. So yeah, here the computer gives bishop b3 as a blunder, primarily because the computer wants white to just trade right here. So knight takes d4 was the best move in the computer's perspective. Knight takes, and then pawn takes. Yeah. All right. So bishop e3, c5. Okay. So here, that's interesting. Okay. So what do you guys think? Good move here. There's actually a very interesting little good move here. Anybody can spot it? What do you think? Black to move.
I think if black plays knight takes the knight on f3, he has to. Yeah, I'm not sure whether he should take the knight or the bishop.
Yeah, knight takes and then bishop takes is just a knight trade, and yeah, it's nothing special. Anything else? Anybody else? After here, what's a good move for
How
black?
about bishop to b3?
Bishop b3. So why would you want to do that? Bishop b3, attacking the
Put pressure on
queen.
his queen.
Okay, but there's another reason that bishop b3 is a good move. So let's say he goes. Let's say he goes here. All right. So why is bishop b3 the strongest move here?
Because you can get him into a knight fork.
Excellent. With what?
The knight to D to C2.
Very good. Knight c2. So basically, what bishop b4 does, bishop b3 attacks the queen at the same time, controlling the c2 square, and now preparing for knight c2 check. And
Richard,
then...
you should have called me.
So
I'm
he
on a
had a
roll.
chance. Richard had a chance here to win back the exchange, and then if that did happen, then it would have been so it would have been slightly more equal. Your opponent, Richard's opponent, would have had a bishop and a knight for the rook, and yeah, game would have been a little bit better. So okay, so basically the takeaway from this is don't lose hope. That's the takeaway. When all seems hopeless, don't lose hope. Unless it's like mate in one, then maybe. All right, bishop b3, c5. Bishop g5. Okay. Computer doesn't like that. Probably computer wants to just trade away pieces. Oh, Richard left. Bishop g5. All right. So Richard went queen d7, which is kind of weird because now you're allowing black to take and ruin your pawn structure and open up your king along the g file. So probably not a good idea. Maybe better just h3. And if he goes back, then the queen's kind of stuck there for the moment, but yeah, you don't want to let your opponent ruin your pawn structure if you can prevent it. So queen d7, bishop takes, g takes, castle, and now king h8. That's a good move. Richard did a good move here, in the sense that he's vacating the g file so that he can bring his rook and begin an attack on g2. So that's a really good move there. Knight h4. Okay, rook g8. Okay, so now white decides to vacate the g file as well. Very good. So now Richard decides to double his rooks. Good idea. Increase pressure, right? Don't trade as much as possible. Increase pressure. Rook g7, g4. So remember what I say. What do I say about pawn moves? Anybody remember what I like to say about pawn moves? What do I often say? Anybody remember?
Underrated.
Go ahead.
Only if it's age of development, or move a piece instead.
Yeah, well, one thing I like to say is be very careful about pawn moves. Why?
They're permanent.
They're permanent.
You give up.
Yeah, they're permanent. You can't move pawns backwards, right? So the decision to make a pawn move is very permanent, especially if your king is there, right? So probably not a good idea to push pawns twice so quickly, right? You want to be very careful. And this is very opening, maybe with h4, h5, and trying to trade away and open up lines, maybe it can become dangerous for black here, or sorry, for white. So yeah, be very careful. And probably one reason why the computer gave g4 as a mistake. So what do you think would be another good move? Let's say a good move for black here. What do you think? Oh, sorry, for white to move here.
Bishop g4.
Bishop g4. No, I think that just gives up a pawn. And now black is getting a bit more comfortable now, attacking the knight, ready to double up and put a lot of pressure on g2. So yeah. So what else? What else
Oh,
can
wait,
white?
wait. Excuse me. Wasn't the queen threatening the rook to take the rook then? But he couldn't. You're right.
All right. So
You're
let's see.
He's protected, right?
Yeah, protected by the other queen. Right. Okay. So anybody else? What do you think is a good move for white here?
Knight D5.
Knight D5. Yeah, that's a good move. Yeah, definitely. Focusing on the weakness on F6. Yeah. And of course, black doesn't want to capture because that would just make his attacking or defending more difficult because he's already down a bishop or a minor piece. So another possibility is maybe opening up the F file, for the rook, right? So F4, it might be a good idea as well, hoping to take and activate your rook, right? All right, so let's continue.
I have
G4.
one,
Yeah, go
I have
ahead.
one question on the pawn on the A file. If you push it up to A4, it's protected by 3 pieces, and then you can move.
The pawn on the
without
A
it being
file.
on-
Oh, this one. So you want to push A4?
I'm just curious as to why would it be a good move?
You could do that. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, all the action seems like it's happening over here in the king side, though. So there's not much focus there. I mean, if white did play A4, I think Richard's best strategy would be to just disregard it and focus on the king side that way. Continue pressure since Richard has the open G file, so he's got to work with what he has here, right? All right, so let's continue. So he went G4. Okay, rook A G8. Okay. Okay, so the computer gave that as an inaccuracy. So here it says better would be just pushing here. Okay, that's fine. That's a fine move as well. Maybe even trying to open up this file for his rooks, perhaps something like that. So yeah, a couple of different possibilities. So rook A G8, knight F5. Yeah, so now it appears that that white's going to achieve some exchanges. So all right, so he went rook G6. All right, knight H4. Wow. All right, so it gives that a blunder. Why do you think the computer gave that as a blunder? What do you guys think white can do? What's a good response to that?
You just move one of your rooks over, so like H6.
H6? No, yeah, you're gonna lose your rook. What else? Anybody else?
I would play as black. Bishop takes the knight.
Okay, so bishop takes knight, and then what if the pawn takes? Now what would you do?
Now I can move the rook back.
Okay,
Yes,
so back to G7.
No, why can't you move the rook to G4?
Yeah, I can move it to H6.
No,
you can't.
also.
Covered
Yeah.
by a
No
bishop.
good.
Yeah.
No good.
So G7, maybe here, rook H6, maybe, right? Now
Yeah.
the pawn is unprotected, the knight's no longer there. So what I was thinking was that black seizes the opportunity to attack this king, which is very open and vulnerable. And for the moment, white's 2 rooks and queen are not anywhere really near the king, whereas black's 2 rooks are very beautifully poised to invade along the G file. So might as well go all out for an attack. I would play something like knight 8 takes F5. And if he takes back, now the entire file is black's. And now he can invade rook G7 check. And if he goes back, maybe now you take here. And now look how powerful this attack is. Now he's already threatening mate right here on H3. Right? So sometimes going all out for the attack when the time is right is a good idea. And seems to me that the G file is very much in black's control if he can get it open, right? So yeah, and it also just shows you how weakening this G4 move was. All right, now there's no pawn cover whatsoever here, and just getting that G pawn out of the way will can do a lot, right? All right, so let's go back. All right, so H4. So I think that's one reason why H4. I'm just curious. Let's see what the computer says. Ooh, let's see. Computer agrees with me. All right, so take here. Take. What does the computer say? Ah, computer says take here. Ah, interesting. All right, interesting. So computer says take here, which will remove the protection of the G4 pawn. Okay, so you're kind of sacrificing your rook. You can take back here and attacking the queen. All right, so it kind of leads to a crazy game. Yeah, queen can come here. Now the queen is threatening f6. Okay, so it gets crazy, but okay, interesting. I like the idea of opening up the G file. All right, so let's go back. All right, so knight takes, pawn takes. Ah, so Richard does do that. Oh, I didn't even realize that. Ooh, very nice, Richard. Where is he? This is Richard Game. He keeps popping out and in. Oh my goodness, he's missing the best parts. Thank goodness we're recording this, right? All right. So he does do my idea. Oh man. So I completely forgot. Okay, so bishop takes f5. Okay, G takes f5. Ooh, and he does my maneuver. Rook G2 check. King H1. And Richard, did you win this game?
I did. I'm sorry. I've had a lot of connections issues. It keeps kicking me out. So
I think it knows that we're going over your game, so it doesn't want you to see the analysis for your own game. So
I'll have to go and listen back to the recording. But
I know. So it's kind of funny. I kind of forgot what you did in this game until today, and then it realized, oh my god, you did exactly what I would have done too, which is awesome. So you realize that the G file was in complete control for your rooks, right? So you're like, let me open up the G file, which is awesome. And then he rook G2 check, king H1. Okay, so it seems like he resigned here. So what would you have done here, Richard? I'm just curious. How would you have finished him off?
Yeah.
He
Maybe
resigned.
queen F5.
Right, queen F5. Yeah, queen takes F5, and then followed by queen H3, and that's mate. Yeah, so very nice coming back from that. So yeah, I think you very correctly reasoned that even though you're down material, this was a perfect opportunity right here with this H pawn, with this moving of H4, perfect opportunity for clearing the G file, right? And then invading with the rooks, and then yeah, and that's it.
Richard,
So...
I'm now officially intimidated. Richard and I we just started a game.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah. So did anybody start games with each other?
Pardon?
Did some of you start playing each other?
Yes, we're playing a classical game.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great. So,
We're 2 moves into it, I think.
oh yeah, okay.
I've
Good.
now become intimidated.
And I played a game with Adam, and we're on to a second game too. So
Excellent. You know what? I got a challenge. I'll challenge you too, Richard. Okay, we got to get a game going.
oh no. I'm gonna disconnect real quick.
Awesome. Okay, so so nobody else finished the game since the last time we saw each other? No? Okay.
I'm doing my game with Adam too.
You're in the middle of a game with Adam? Okay, cool. Okay, then how about this? I have a game I played. Actually, Adam's not even here, I think, right? No. Too bad. Because I got a game that I played with his friend. Let me just see. I want to get this game that I played with his friend because okay, this was 20 moves. Trying to get a good long one. This is 35. Okay, we'll get the 35 move one. All right, so let me see here. So how do we do this? PGN, yeah. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do this real quick. So we'll go over this one. Let's see here. Oh, not there. Yeah, it's a great idea that I forget who had that. I think Monty, right? To exchange. Was that Monty? Was that you that had the idea to exchange?
Yeah.
No, somebody else.
And I think a nicer, an additional way to do it would be, if anybody's interested, to exchange, telephone and email numbers. It
Oh,
makes-
right. I meant to do that. I forgot about that. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Monty was saying like if any of you wanted to exchange cell numbers or emails, I guess to communicate about playing each other.
Yeah, that would be good. I could not figure out how to send a friend request in Lee Chess.
Oh,
So
you
it was
couldn't.
good to have you. It was good to have your email, Monty, because I just couldn't figure out how to do it.
That's right. Otherwise, we would have had to wait till tonight to meet to say hello. But that's a good idea if
Oh, my
anybody's
goodness.
interested. I think it's a nice idea to play people and we'll learn together.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so if anybody is interested in exchanging information, just let me know, send me an email, I guess, and I can exchange that with everyone.
Well, you circulated mine, I think, Danilo.
I think I did. I hope I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you did.
Okay, cool.
Like a group email chain that we could all just respond to. So if someone's like, hey, like I'm free for a game or I want to start a game, and then someone can respond. Is there
Wait, say it again, Genevieve. Go a little close to the mic, 'cause it's hard to hear.
Oh, sorry. Is there like a group email chain that we can all respond to? So if someone is inquiring to start a game, someone could always respond to it.
You said a group email?
Mm-hmm.
I can start one, yeah. So usually when I send the emails to everybody, I usually just do like a BCC, the blind carbon copy. But if you want to if everybody's okay, I can definitely do CC so you can all see each other's emails. Is that okay with everyone?
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
It's okay with me.
Yeah, cool. So I can do that with everyone. That's cool. All right, so let's look at this game. I played against, this is Adam's friend. I think it's Adam's high school friend, and I am black and he is white. So let's see how this went on. So let's see, E4, C5. So this is Sicilian. So yeah, so I'm black. Actually, you know what? This is confusing. I'm gonna go with my perspective. Yeah. All right, good. All right, yeah. So Sicilian. By the way, if anyone ever plays E4 against me, I will always play C5. Just letting you know, because that's how I respond to E4. All right. So knight takes. This would be the exchange variation of the Sicilian, and I think this is with E6. This is considered the con variation. I used to play D6 in this position. I think that's a Najdorf variation. But I don't know. I guess I'm just I wanted something different. So yeah, E6, knight C3, A6, and so the idea with this con, so it looks like this bishop is all locked in there, right? But this bishop does eventually get developed. So the idea with this is that eventually you want to bring the queen to C7, and make sure you have control over the dark squares, right? And by the way, one of the purposes of E6 and A6 is to prevent the knight from jumping here on B5 or D5, right? So now the queen coming on C7 is not being harassed by the knights, right? So that's the idea. So I like that. All right, A6. So he goes F4, queen C7. Okay. Bishop E3, D6. Okay, so D6, so the computer wants B5 immediately and then trying to develop my bishop to B7, which is also good. But what I don't want, I was going to develop here to F6, but what I didn't want was him to be able to immediately scare away my knight like that. That's very uncomfortable. So that's why I chose D6 right now to prevent E5 push, right? So preventative prophylactic move. Bishop E2. Now I come to F6. Bishop F3. Bishop E7. Queen D3. Okay. Bishop. Yeah, go ahead.
Does that queen move seem strange? I mean,
This one?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, I guess I could harass the queen a little bit, but she just comes
Right.
back to D2 and then she's fine. Then she's gonna just kick me away. So it's not really that bad of a move. Yeah. All right. So okay, so here he's really becoming aggressive, right? He's really stating his intentions of starting a pawn storm on the king side. And he could have waited, like played a waiting move, maybe like a3. Like if he played a waiting move like a3, I probably would have castled, and then this pawn storm would have been a little bit more intimidating because now my king is stuck on the king side, right? But since I didn't castle yet, so he maybe was a little bit premature, this pawn storm. So g4, so now I prevent the pawn from coming up with h6. So if he does come down still with g4 or g5, I take, and now I have a nice open file for my rook. My rook all of a sudden becomes active, right? So I don't have a problem with that. So h6. Now he goes a3. Okay. So yeah, here, yeah, typically because he's opening up the king side, he's probably not going to want to castle that way. So probably castling queen side would be the best option for him. Rook c8. So I'm kind of assuming he will castle queen side because of this g4 push. So now I'm kind of stating my intentions. I want to open up the c file, and I'm increasing pressure along the c file, perhaps pushing eventually b5 and then again b4. Okay. So
Why
rook f1.
didn't-
Yeah, go ahead.
Why didn't black castle queenside and just instead of moving the rook over?
Oh, instead of doing this,
Right.
Wouldn't he could have.
Castling queenside have been
Yeah,
more
yeah, he could
protection?
have castle queen side. That's a fine move as well. Yeah, I really don't understand why he did that. Maybe it makes more sense to go g1, because if he continues with this plan of g4, g5, maybe he takes, and then maybe he's going to take with the rook, something like that. So he's putting pressure on g7. So that might have made more sense, but all right, let's see. So rook f1. So now I continue expanding. So now, as you can see, I'm not intending on castling king side or queen. I can't castle queen side because I moved my rook. So basically, my king is in the center. But if you can see right now, my king is not really in danger, right? He's pretty safe right now. And if he moves g5, I'm really happy to open up the h file, because now my rook's going to enter into the game and become active. So yeah.
It just looks like you're terribly stuck and cramped. You weren't feeling that way, obviously, but just from the look of it, it seems like, your bishops are locked in. The knights can't really go anywhere without.
Right. So you're saying it looks like I'm stuck, you said?
Yeah.
I guess in a sense I am, but I'm not really that cramped. I'm more, I describe my position as more prophylactic, right? So if he moves g5, I can take and I activate my rook, right? He can't go e5, because then he just loses the pawn to that. If he goes f5, now he's given a square to my knight to jump on, right? So anything he does gives me counterplay, right? So yeah, so I'm not really cramped. So basically my approach in this kind of position is basically to slowly improve the position of my pieces, and then eventually my opponent will overreach and make a mistake, and I just take advantage. So that's kind of the my strategy in these kind of positions. And all right, so now what does he do? I went b5. So, and by the way, comparing white to black, who do you think has more space?
Has more space?
Yeah, who has more space, white or black?
White.
Yeah, white definitely has more space. I'm slightly more cramped. So that means that I would welcome exchanges, right? So I don't want to exchange this knight now, though, because that will just put his bishop on a very nice centralized location. So I don't want to do that for him. But if he traded my knight, then he just helps me develop my bishop on this beautiful long diagonal. So I would favor that, which is exactly what he does. He takes my knight takes c6, bishop takes. Okay, so now he goes e5. So this is a mistake. So what do you think? What do you think? How do you take advantage of this move? What do you think?
Knight e4.
Knight e4. All right, what do you guys think? Good move or not so good move?
That's not a good move.
Loses
Why?
the knight.
Loses the knight.
Yeah, so we have 1, 2, 3 attackers, and we have 1 defender, right? So the knight will be lost. So
So
what do you
black
think? What
should
else?
take the bishop on F3 first.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if we take the bishop, now he can take our knight, my knight, and now the problem is he's attacking my bishop and he's attacking my other bishop. So I'm going to lose another piece here.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's no good either. So I'm going to lose another piece, so I can't do that.
Pawn
What else?
D5.
Pawn D5. Or what do you guys think? Good move? Or?
Not D5, E5.
Oh, so taking the pawn basically.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I would say that's the best move. Let's see what the computer says. Yeah, taking the pawn. Takes. Okay. All right, so now yeah. So now okay, so here's another interesting thing. If he took, I think what did he do? I don't think he took yeah, he did take. Yeah, he did a weird move here. So I took and then he castled queenside, which was a little bit weird. He kind of gave me 2 pawns here because now I go remove the bishop, and now I take. So you see now you notice so quickly now his entire menacing structure just fell apart. Does everybody see that? in like a few moves, I'm already winning, right? So I got this pawn here protecting. I just dropped this pawn because I traded away the bishop. I'm ready to trade away this this bishop. And by the way, you should keep in mind that this diagonal will become very very useful to me because I have a dark squared bishop, right? So this is exactly what happened in the game, right? So yeah. So I think instead of castling long castle, the castling queenside, he probably I think he should have taken here, check. This is kind of what I expected him to do. Take here, check, and then I take back, and then he takes here. Now, what do you think would be in this position a good move for me?
Now, do you do knight takes G4?
Yeah, so now I can still take knight takes G4. Right. Knight takes G4. And now I'm threatening another pawn. And I would love to trade away this bishop. And just the position is opened up. And now it's actually probably castling is fine. I'm fine with castling now. It's a little bit different, the position. And also, by the way, this pawn is hanging too. So you see 2 pawns are hanging. So it's just amazing how sometimes with a pawn storm like this, it can feel very, exhilarating to just push all your pawns and just hope for the best. But if you don't take care of, if you're not careful with the position, it can fall apart and collapse quite easily.
So,
right?
So was the problem that he didn't have anything really defend, or not enough defending the pawns? I mean,
I think he was just
parallel.
premature. I think he was just premature. Like this pawn move, that was premature, right? If he maintained this, and if he just maybe castled queenside, now all he's doing is increasing the pressure, right? And maybe he could have pushed the other pawn h4 and then pushed here. And now if I take on g5, he takes back with the h pawn, and now he's still attacking me. So I think he just has to have a little patience, right? I think a lot of people, when they play chess and they just beginning, they enjoy attacking, right? Attacking is a lot of fun. But if your attack is not well prepared, if it's premature, it will fall apart quite easily. All right. So I think this was a premature.
Was this a timed game, a clock game?
This was a correspondence game. So this was 1 day per move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in a game with a clock, you don't have the time. You might not have the luxury of time to.
Right. But I mean, still, I think the lesson here is don't be premature with your attack. And just castling, get your king to safety, and then pushing the h pawn. And now all these pawns here. Now this is a pretty menacing attack, right? So yeah, so it fell apart quite easily. All right, so he pushed. So yeah, take, and now I take on g4, h3. Okay, so now I remove this bishop. I'm very happy to remove this bishop because now there's going to be either the rook or the queen on this dark square diagonal, and I have my dark square bishop here, eventually ready to come in here and do a nasty pin right here. So queen takes e3, and now I have e takes e4, e takes f4. So now, what do you think is the best move for right here? Rook takes f4 or queen takes f4? What do you guys think?
Queen takes f4.
Okay, what do you guys think? Good move or bad move?
Well, I guess.
No,
yeah,
I think it's a
that-
bad move because you got your bishop going to G5.
G5 and the queen is lost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took advantage of that of this weakened diagonal, and he took back with the rook. So what do you think I did here?
Same move.
Okay, so I could have done that. That's true. But actually, I wanted to simplify. I'm already winning right here. So I'm already winning by, let's see. I'm already winning by 2 pawns, which is, to me, it's enough. Yeah, it's enough for me to be winning by 2 pawns. So I would like to simplify. And actually, I can do it in a way that I would actually win material even more. And so how did I win
Oh.
material even more?
You can play queen takes the rook and then bring the bishop to
Exactly.
G5.
Yeah, queen takes, because if I did bishop G5 now, I'm
Right.
giving him time to protect, and now
Mhm.
you know I'm winning. Genevieve, is your dog trying to come in the room?
Yeah.
I see you shooing away. That's
right.
funny. So yeah, if I play bishop G5 now, I am giving him time to defend, and then he can keep the queens on the board, which in my mind, I don't want to do because I want to eliminate, right? When you're winning, another strategy is just simplify down completely, eliminate all counterplay, and just make it, make the win simple, right? Don't complicate things. I tell people that chess is complicated enough, okay? Our goal with chess is to simplify our games, not complicate things more. All right, so my goal here was to simplify, so take the rook, temporary deflective sacrifice, takes on f4, followed by bishop g5. And so basically I won the exchange. So now he comes back to d2. And now, what do you think I did?
Bishop takes queen.
No, not
And
yet.
then
Not yet. This queen is not going anywhere. I don't even have to take the queen yet. So again, remember my
you
goal.
can play
My goal is what? To simplify. How do I simplify even more than I already have?
rook to D8.
Yes, rook to D8, right? So remember what's the principle when your opponent, when you have a pinned piece, right? When you're pinning with your opponent's piece, what's the principle?
Amplify it even more.
Say again.
Put more pressure on the pin.
Exactly. PP on the PP. I told you guys that, right? PP on the PP. Put pressure on the pin piece. Very important, right? I tell my kids that, and they all laugh, but they remember, right? They remember. These mnemonics are very, very effective. So yeah, PP on the PP. Put pressure on the pin piece. This queen's not going anywhere. Why not take a moment now to increase pressure? And I will ensure that I'm going to trade away not only the queen, but the rook as well. Right. So if I instead just cashed in really quick and took here, I am still winning, but now I'm just giving him his rook to play with, and he might, have some annoying counterplay, which I don't like. So I said, why rush it? Go rook d8, and he goes knight e4. Now finally I go bishop takes. Okay, so now he tries to avoid trade, so he takes back with the knight. So okay, so I don't get to, but I tried. King e7, rook e1, and now it's just basically a matter of technique, how to win this. So now basically I just dominate on the d file. So now I have so many pawns here. So I'm winning by the exchange, and I'm winning by 2 pawns. And if I get rid of this pawn over here, trade away for my pawns, I have 3 connected passed pawns, which is dominating. H4, G5. Jeez. Yeah, so he basically he can't do much here. So my goal is just to make sure he doesn't fork my king and rook, and just, that's one thing with knights. They're so tricky. You got to make sure you're always vigilant about knight forks, right? Rook F5. So now how do I force trades here? What do you guys think? Remember, I want to trade away as many pieces as possible. How do I force a trade?
F4, rook to F4.
Excellent. Yeah, rook F4, forcing a trade, or else he will lose his knight, right? So he's basically forced to take my rook. Unfortunately, he didn't. I don't know if he didn't see that or if he just ignored it, but he took my pawn here, and so I just won his knight. Now I'm an entire rook ahead. Rook takes. So I could have taken with the rook and kept my pawns intact. that would have been an easy win as well. But this is a little bit quicker because now this pawn has an easy road to promotion, right? So now rook b6, h3, rook takes b5. Okay, so now what do you think I played? There's a couple ways to win this very quickly. So what do you think I played here?
Do you either keep pushing the H pawn, or do you do like rook D2 or something?
So I could have, if I pushed the H pawn, now I'm giving him a chance to, giving him a chance to put, because he wants to put his rook behind the pass pawn, right? That's one principle in end games is when there's a pass pawn on the board, either you're on either it's your pawn or your opponent's pawn. You want to put the rook behind the pawn, right? So if it's your opponent's pawn, this pawn is now, it's under, how do you say, it's being attacked and it's prevented from moving forward, right? And so I don't want his rook to be in that location. So what do you think I did?
How about your D8 rook to D5?
D8 rook to D. Yeah, okay, that's one possibility. Yeah, just block off the rook.
How
Yeah,
about your D4 to H4?
you can do that too. Good. I put my own rook there, and now
I like that better.
yeah, you can do that. I could have done either of those, but I
How about
chose to
D4 to D5? The rook
D4.
to D5.
Yeah, D4, D5, and then maybe he'll try to come this way.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what I did was I saw that he wants to come here, so I said, why don't I just remove that square from his rook? And so king
Wow.
G6, and now as you can see, all these squares are out. All these squares, he has nowhere to go, and so this pawn will be easy traveling to promotion, and he resigned here.
Well
So,
done, Danilo.
yeah, so it was a good game. I think there's a lot of great moments in this game. So yeah, so let's go over again real quick. So exchange variation again. If you guys are interested in this, I mean, I don't know that much about it. I just saw like a couple of grandmasters play this opening. I really like it. The Khan variation. And again, the idea with E3 and H6 or A6, sorry, is to prevent the knight from jumping onto D5 or B5, and then bring the queen. Very important is to bring the queen on C7, and have control over the dark squares, right? So, and then you don't want to let your opponent solidify control over D6 this way, which is why I think D6 was necessary. Yeah, and then just basic developing, right? And again, a lot of prophylaxis, right? Preventing your opponent from doing certain things, preventing your opponent from moving forward, right? A lot of prophylaxis, right? Yeah. And then the premature attack is here.
I mean, that premature attack was like the turning point. At that point, it was like,
right.
I mean, if you hadn't done that.
Yeah, for example, here, like right now, look at the evaluation is 0.2, so we're basically equal. And after he does that move, it goes down to 3. So now I'm like 3 pawns ahead all of a sudden, right? So he really, it collapsed after that move, right? Yeah. So let's see, what was a better move? Let me just see what the computer says for white. Yeah, okay, castle. Or, oh yeah, good. Yeah, see, even push the H4 pawn, right? Either one, get your king to safety, or just make sure the pawn storm is together and intact. Then it's a little bit more potent and powerful. So yeah, so when you're pushing pawns like this and you're trying to overwhelm your opponent, it's not just about pushing your pawns, without thinking, right? You want to make sure that you don't allow your opponent any counterplay and cover, all the weak points in your position. All right. So any questions with this game? What do you guys think?
Interesting.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I hope you found that informative. So, so I will email you guys that article that I wrote about the chess documentaries and movies. I wrote a little bit of a description of each one. But I already got two. Let's say, how do you say this? Two concerns or fears about the opera game, so I might remove that from the list. Or if you want to be adventurous, you want to still watch it,
No, don't.
He says don't. So yeah, so I can send you guys that, and yeah, you guys all said it's fine if I do the CC with all your emails, right? That's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Awesome. So yeah, we'll do that. You want to do the same thing, like an examination of one of your games again for next week,
Yeah.
right? So yeah. So if any of you finish your games by next week or in the middle of the week, just send them to me. And
I don't know how to do that.
okay, so let's go over. Wait, are you talking about on chess.com or Elite Chess?
Either.
So yeah, so Elite Chess. I mean, chess.com, I can do it pretty easily, but really quick on Elite Chess. So let's say this is one of my games, right? So you go here and you click on that, and it takes you to this, right? And then hold on. All right. Okay, so now you got to go down here. Okay, so you got to go down here, and this is, you see this little icon? This is the
Uh-huh.
share button right here, right? You
Oh.
click on that, and it brings you to this, and then you go PGN, very important, PGN, and then you go down, and this is the PGN file of the moves, and this is what you email me, and I
All
can
right, I'll try.
I can easily, or you can just highlight the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's fine. I'll figure it out. Or another way you can do it is just send me the link, the URL link to your game, and I can figure it out myself too.
How do you send friend requests in Lead Chess?
Okay, so friend request. So let's see. So you go to connect.
You're on chess.com now, right?
Oh wait, did you say chess.com or Elite Chess?
I said Lead Chess, but both would be helpful if you can show us.
Okay,
both.
yeah. So both. So chess.com, you go to members, and you invite. I think here. Oh, go back. Here, I think you can search for a member here.
Yeah.
So let's say I'll put in this person. I'm not that person's friend. Snowboard. Let's see that. And then that's where the person comes up, right? And then you just do right here, add as a friend. All right, so pretty simple. And then on Lead Chess, let's see here. Okay, right here. All right, so Lead Chess, you just find the person's name right here. So let's see, R Popper right here. So you go onto his profile, and here you just click follow. So there's no friends on Lead Chess. You just follow people.
Okay.
And then every time they're online, you get a notification down here, right here, friends online. And these are all the people that I follow.
Danilo, this is a really dumb question, I'm sure, but
No problem.
Just-
Go ahead.
but on chess.com,
Yeah.
I think a 3-day game.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
3-day game is a correspondence game, right? So if here, I'll show you real quick. Let's say this guy. Let's say I want to challenge this guy. So I go challenge right here, and then you can this is the type of game. So I assume you want to do standard, and then here you can do the time control. So this is like quick, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, or you want to do correspondence game. Here's longer, 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. So it's like you get 3 days. If you click this one, you get 3 days to make one move.
Oh,
so very slow game, right?
it sure is. Okay.
Yeah, very slow game.
But
And
the
I
reality
thought I
is,
the game in 3 days.
most of the time people move faster, right? So
yeah. So 3 days is the maximum. If you don't move in 3 days, you're gonna lose. So, but yeah, you can move as fast as you want. Really, it's just that the idea is that
I thought
ahead.
you had to complete the game in 3 days.
no. You get 3 days per move. So yeah, the game could go on for, I don't know, a month if
Not
you
my
guys
game.
use. Yeah.
That's too much. That's too much pressure.
I mean, personally, I like to move fast, and I have you guys wanted to see how many what do you call it, correspondence games I have on chess.com? Look at this, 65. I have 65 correspondence games. These are all the ones that I have in progress right now.
Wow.
You have that many.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Jennifer?
When you have that many games and you're looking at all of them, do you actually remember the analysis for all of them, or do you look at all of them like a puzzle?
Yeah, kind of like all of them like a puzzle, but also if you're playing like a bunch like this, like I'm doing, make sure that when you like say, let's say I'm going to pick one. Let's say this, I'm beating this guy. I'll pick this one. All right, so here I'll show you this one. So this guy, like I don't really remember the position all that well, so I would always go back a few moves. Like I'm going to go back and just see what was the last couple moves.
To remind yourself of the.
Yeah, to remind yourself so that you get an idea, right? Because yeah, after 65 games, you kind of do forget. But
When you play the 1 minute games, how many?
I do the 1 minute games also. Yeah.
I know. When you play the 1 minute games, about
Yeah.
how many moves does the game last?
I mean, they could last a long time as well. Like for example,
Really?
on Lead Chess, are you guys familiar with the idea of pre-moves? Anybody know what that means? Pre-moves?
No.
Yeah, you store the next move in advance, right?
Yes, exactly. So let's say if I do e4, my opponent could pre-move e5, which means that whatever move or sorry, yeah, or let's say I do e4, my opponent does e5, but before my opponent does e5, I pre-move, I don't know, knight f3. So it doesn't matter what my opponent is going to do, I'm going to play knight f3, right? And so I mean, it's not necessarily recommended. Most chess coaches wouldn't recommend pre-moves, but in Bullet, that's kind of what you do so that so Lead Chess is a little bit different than chess.com. You can pre-move on Lead Chess and you don't lose time at all. So you can theoretically pre-move like a lot of moves and not lose any time. But, realistically, eventually you stop pre-moving because your opponent does stuff and you got to respawn and everything. But on chess.com, it's a little bit more realistic because even in a Bullet game, each pre-move costs you like I think 1/10 of a second. So technically you can only, if you have 1 second left, you can't pre-move indefinitely. You can only pre-move 10 pre-moves and then you'll lose on time, which might be even better, but Lead Chess doesn't have that. Lead Chess, you can pre-move indefinitely if you do complete pre-moves. That's kind of weird like that. But
So how is a win determined in a 1 minute game? Just by material?
could be material, could be resignation, could be checkmate, or could be person just loses on time. Yeah. So any of the above. Any and all the above. So yeah. Yeah. I enjoy 1 minute. I mean, it's kind of it's how I relax. It's kind of how my brain works. I don't know. That's how I relax. It's kind of weird, right? But my wife never understands it. Like, and I would come home from work. Like, I don't know if I told you guys, I'm an acupuncturist also. I come home from work after like, 9 hours working in the clinic. I come home and I relax by playing Bullet chess. And my wife's like, you relax by thinking? How is that? Why? How is that possible? Because my wife is a computer programmer, so she's like in the computer thinking all day. She's like, I don't even want to think about anything when I'm not working. So
Great.
yeah, some people look at chess as work, right? Like, oh man, I got to think about all this stuff. Other people enjoy it. So yeah, any other questions?
Good lesson, Danilo. Thanks.
Yeah,
Awesome.
a lot of fun.
Thank
These are
you.
fun.
Glad you enjoyed it. Good seeing you
it's
all. I'm glad I remembered to record it. So thank goodness for Adam, right?
Right.
So I will see you guys next week, and I'll send you guys all that stuff. And yeah, send me your games. It'd be great to review them next week. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and anybody
Thank
that
you.
wants to share more of their contact info, I'll send out. I mean, the emails will come through. I'm happy to connect via text or phone. So
Yeah. If you guys want to share cell numbers, just let me know, and I'll be sure I can share that with everybody if you want. All right. So yeah, whoever is interested in that.
By the way, I'm just curious, what time zone wise are most of you East Coast time? I'm Central.
East Coast. Roy,
Yeah,
East
I'm
Coast.
I'm Eastern Standard.
East Coast.
East Coast.
Yeah.
I didn't think
West
think
Coast.
of you as Central, Richard.
Say again?
I didn't think of you as Central. I just assumed you were here.
You don't look like a Central type of guy, I guess. I don't know.
I got lost on the way from New York. I made a left turn and ended up in Dallas.
Is that where you are?
Must have been Albuquerque.
Nice. All right. Yeah. So Leonard, you're the only one on the West Coast, it seems, right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah. All lonely out there. All right. All right. Cool.
Good night, everybody.
Good seeing you
Good night.
guys.
Bye.
Have a great
Good
night.
night.
See you next week. Take care.